talk more about how these disappointing results could impact the car maker. Let's bring in Tim Higgins. He's tech and autos reporter for the Wall Street Journal. Tim, welcome. What do you think is more problematic for Tesla? Is it J.D. Power saying it has the worst initial quality in the auto industry, or these potential problems with its Model S touchscreen, which are reported for cars that are about 4 to 6 years old?
Well, the J.D. Power issue is going to be a potentially big one going forward, because Tesla's brand is built on viral marketing, on early adopters who are very excited for this vehicle. And as you start to sell more and more of these cars to everyday folks, if their first experience in the first 90 days is, 250 problems per 100 car, you're one of those people, you're probably not going to be so excited. You're not going to be telling your neighbor that this is such a cool thing. And that could potentially be a problem for Tesla as it tries to become a mass market vehicle maker.
Phil, can you elaborate a little bit on these problems? And by fit and finish, to me that sounds like you didn't adjust your seat properly and you don't like the paint color. I mean, obviously, we're talking about something different here. What does it mean exactly?
Things like wind noise, gaps, maybe something on the inside is just not right. The squeaks and rattles is the way that they summarized it to me when I was talking with the folks at J.D. Power. Look, are these the type of problems that make somebody immediately go back and say, I don't want this car at all? It's terrible. It broke down on the side of the road. No. But if you're paying $50,000, $55,000, $60,000 for a vehicle, you want it to be perfect. Not every vehicle's perfect. Every vehicle has problems out there. That's the nature of auto manufacturing. But the question becomes whether or not these issues are so great and so persistent that it ultimately tarnishes the Tesla brand, which, by the way, and I think Tim will agree with this, it has one of the strongest brands in the auto industry.
Well, that was sort of the question I was going to ask. Maybe I'll pose it to Tim. I remember not that many years ago that I believe it was Consumer Reports called one of the Tesla models, I think it was probably the S, a nearly perfect car, gave it the highest kinds of ratings. So I asked two questions. What has happened there since then? Is it just simply a difference in methodology or a difference in rating approaches and so forth? And number two, Tim, does this necessarily translate into less robust sales for Tesla, which could affect, obviously, the stock price, when often we see brands like Land Rover, like Jeep, that don't score well in these kinds of surveys, but it doesn't seem to hurt their sales very much at all. People want Jeeps, they like Land Rover, and they do seem to like Tesla.
Yeah, you're hitting on two important things. So the Model S is still widely perceived as one of the best cars of generation, if not for generations. And one of the things that's changed is at the time that vehicle first came out, there were problems. People reported problems. But generally speaking, these were largely handmade vehicles, or they got a lot of attention from the factory. And as Tesla has grown, going from thousands of vehicles of sales to hundreds of thousands as it tries to get to millions of sales a year, it just has way more volume it's not accustomed to dealing with. And those are the kinds of problems that Consumer Reports and J.D. Power's, these studies have highlighted, the things that you would, if you're a typical automaker, you've already kind of achieved in your life cycle. You know how to make a car, you know how to make sure the paint is right on that sort of thing. That's where Tesla is still struggling with as a car maker. But to your point, what Tesla has been able to do and be able to get beyond that issue is that its brand is just so powerful. Those early adopters are in love with it, and they think it's the cool, hot thing. And so that's been able to kind of go beyond those issues that they have if it breaks down or if it's just not quite right. The challenge for Tesla is that it wants to be a mainstream automaker. It wants to make electric cars ubiquitous. And everyday buyers may not be so willing to overlook flaws in a vehicle.